Today we will have our discussion on meter bridge and potentiometer. First we will discuss about meter bridge. What is a meter bridge? On what principle it works? And what are the uses of meter bridge? Then we will start with potentiometer. Again, for the potentiometer also we will discuss what is the principle on which a potentiometer works. And what are the uses of the potentiometer? Also we'll discuss the basic principle and the working part of the potentiometer. These two topics are very important because in the board examination we often get questions in theory. Maybe the numericals also are there, some conceptual type questions are asked on these, as well as in the practical also, you will be doing experiments on meter bridge as well as potentiometer. Basically, these are based on the uses of the meter bridge and potentiometer there. Meter bridge is a device which we use for finding unknown resistance there, or for other cases also, like if you have to find, suppose, a specific resistance of a material. So for that we can use. Meter bridge consists of a 1 meter long wire in general, but it may be there that for some practical circuits there or for some numericals, the length of the wire may be different there. But in general, it will be a wire of 1 meter length which is fixed on a wooden plank. So if there may be a 1 meter long wire like this AB, this is fixed on a wooden plank, and there is a meter scale attached with this, so that we can take the reading corresponding to different points of this meter bridge wire. These are thick copper strips, and there are points or the terminals in the gap of which we connect standard resistance, unknown resistance. There will be one point that is in the middle where we connect a galvanometer, and the other end of that is connected to a jockey there. And of course we connect it to a source E, a rheostat RH, and a key. So basically this is the experimental arrangement for using a meter bridge. It may be used for finding value of unknown resistance, or it may be used for finding a specific resistance of a given wire of particular material. Meter bridge works on the balanced condition of Wheatstone bridge, because in the balanced condition what we have P by Q equals to R by S. In the Wheatstone bridge, if we get the ratio of the resistances of the different terms balanced or being equal, then no current will flow through the galvanometer R. So here also you have 4 resistances. One is this R, that is a standard resistance. This is your X, which is your unknown resistance. And then this is the meter bridge wire, which we can take as one part being AJ, other part being PJ. And then between the gap of R and X, we connect it to a galvanometer, which is connected to the other common point for the arm AJ and BJ. So let's see how we use this meter bridge. So it's one application we are taking to find the value of resistance of a given wire. So here X represents the wire whose resistance we want to measure. This R is the resistance from resistance box. So what we do, we introduce some resistance, we move the jockey along the length of the wire, and we see where we get zero deflection in the galvanometer. But one thing you remember, whenever you are going to use meter bridge, after doing the connection, once you have set up the experimental arrangement for this. First you check whether your circuit is correct or not. For that what we do, we put the jockey at one extreme and say A, and we notice the direction of deflection in the galvanometer. Suppose it is giving you deflection towards left. Then we move the jockey to the other end, and we see that the deflection in the galvanometer, now it is in opposite direction or not. It's not necessary that if you are connecting it to end A, it will be towards left. But what you have to see, that when you are connecting it at the point A and B, the direction of deflection should be opposite. A galvanometer has its zero in the middle. So if you want that no current flows through the galvanometer, so the pointer should read 0. And for that, it is only possible that when we are moving the jockey along the length of the wire, unless we have the deflection in opposite direction in the galvanometer, we will never be able to get the point of 0 deflection, which is in the middle of the wire. So that is why we first check whether the circuit connection is correct or not. Now, once we have introduced some resistance, we'll move the jockey. So let's assume that let lambda is resistance per unit length of meter bridge wire. Meter bridge wire. And this AJ is equal to L, and this is the balancing length. That means we have moved the jockey along the length of the wire, and at this particular point, when this is your L, we get 0 deflection. If we take AB to be of 100 centimeter, that means this is suppose your 100. So in that case, how much this will be? BJ will be equals to 100 minus L centimeter. Now, if you consider their resistances, so resistance of arm AJ, this will be lambda into L, because lambda we have assumed as the resistance per unit length of this wire, and this length is your L, so it is your lambda into L. Similarly, resistance of arm BJ, this will be 100 minus L into lambda, because this one will be then 100 minus L. And in balanced condition, what we get? R by X equals to resistance of arm AJ by resistance of arm BJ. That is lambda L by 100 minus L into lambda. R by X equals to L by 100 minus L. And this gives you the value of X as R 100 minus L by L. So this will give you the value of unknown resistance. Once we have got the value of L, that is the balancing length, we know what value of resistance we have introduced from the resistance box. That means this R is known, L we have measured. So putting in the formula, we can get the value of this unknown resistance. When you are doing it as an experiment, then after taking one observation, you will change the value of this R. And then you will take the second reading of that will give the different value of L here. Again, we'll calculate what is the value of X for that case. So that way you can continue taking different values of R and find out what is the corresponding balancing length, and hence measure the value of X, which is the resistance of the given wire. So this is how we use a meter bridge for finding the value of resistance of a given wire. This is the second application of meter bridge. We want to find a specific resistance of a given wire. Now we know that a specific resistance and resistance of a given wire is related by the formula R equals to rho L by A. This R is the resistance of the given wire, rho is its specific resistance, L is its length, A is its area of cross section. So here rho will be equals to R A by L. Now, in order to get the value of this rho, we need to know the value of the resistance. The resistance of the wire we have measured experimentally as we have discussed just before. So that value of resistance which we have taken, that was your R 100 minus L by L. Remember, this is the standard resistance which we have used. And we are going now to put it in the formula like X A by L. And so this X we have already measured here. Then A is the area of cross section of the given wire. So area of cross section of the given wire we measure with the help of a screw gauge, first by measuring its diameter and then putting in the formula for area of cross section as pi d square by 4. Then we measure length of this wire using a meter scale so that we can put it in the formula. So now we know the value of X, we know the value of A, that is the area of cross section of the wire, and length of the wire. Putting in this formula, we can get the value of the specific resistance of the given wire. So this is how we use meter bridge to measure the value of a specific resistance of a given wire. Potentiometer is an electrical device where we have 10 wires. Normally you will have arrangement of 10 wires there. When you are using it as a practical circuit there or practical appliance. But there may be other potentiometer where the number may not be 10. It is basically you have an arrangement where you have a long wire there. So these wires will be fixed on a wooden plank. Like you have suppose a wooden plank on which we have 10 wires put side by side, and then they are connected alternatively at the ends with the help of thick metal strips. So thick copper strips will be there so that they are just connected in series, and you have a 10-meter long wire put over a length, accessible length of just 1 meter. Otherwise, if it is a 10-meter long wire and you have to do some experiment with that apparatus, then you will have to move for over that 10 meter. So this will be an accessible length there, confined over a length of just 1 meter. So this is the arrangement, and there will be a 1 meter scale attached with that, so that you can take reading with the help of meter scale what is the balancing length for this instrument. Symbolically, when we have to represent this potentiometer, we just represent it like this. It's not necessary that you have to show there 10 wires or 5 wires there. You can show it like this. Or it may be the second representation which we have shown. Or it is represented even by a single wire AB like that. So you can use any of these representation to represent potentiometer symbolically there for any circuit. A potentiometer works on balancing of potential gradient produced by two sources over a given length of wire. Potential gradient will be potential difference per unit length. So if you take the potential gradient, this is your potential difference by length. That is the potential difference between 2 points divided by length of the wire between those 2 points. So for a given wire where the two sources are producing their own potential gradient, the point where the potential gradient produced by two sources becomes equal, then you will get the balanced state. So this is the balancing of potential gradient produced by two sources over a given length of wire. Just try to use this one and make your concept very clear about this one, because if you use this concept, you will be able to solve any numerical, whether it is your simple or complex, based on potentiometer. You have to just compare or equate the potential gradient produced by two sources over the potentiometer wire. Or another statement or the principle you will find most commonly there in books, that potential difference between 2 points of a wire of uniform cross section carrying constant current is directly proportional to length of the wire. Potential difference between 2 points of the wire having uniform cross section and carrying constant current is directly proportional to length of the wire. That means we take V proportional to L. But don't just use this mathematical relation V proportional to L to make the statement for the principle of potentiometer. Because if you are doing that, you will simply say that potential difference is directly proportional to length. You will miss the conditions. So better you remember this statement. Now see how we are using this one. We know that V equals to Ri, and the resistance can be written as your rho L by A. So it is I, and this will be equals to rho I by A into L. This is your V. When we say for a given wire of uniform cross section, that means this A is constant. Carrying constant current, that means I is constant. And for a given wire, this rho is fixed. So that will give you V proportional to L when rho I by A is constant. And that is what we write in the statement, uniform cross section carrying constant current, where the potential difference will be proportional to the length of a given wire. Now let's discuss the theory of the potentiometer. Suppose this is your potentiometer wire AB. We connect that one to a driving cell. Driving cell will be the one which will be first producing a potential gradient over the length of the potentiometer wire. So suppose this E is the driving cell connected with the rheostat and the key, and this is connected across AB. So if I assume that it is producing a potential difference about AB, this as VAB. If a rheostat, we assume that it is not offering or it has minimum value, zero value there. If only E is there, EMF of the source, in that case it may be E. But suppose if some resistance box is connected there in the circuit, then potential difference across AB will be different from its EMF. So that is why we take the potential difference produced by this source over this wire. So this is the potential difference. This is over how much length? This is the length AB. So this is length AB. This is the potential gradient produced by this source. Now, this is suppose your test cell. This is your driving cell. And this is our test cell, suppose. So this test cell, we move along, suppose its EMF is E. We move along the length of the wire and we see at what point there is zero deflection in the galvanometer. Its EMF is fixed. So in that case, this will be equals to E divided by, suppose it is the length between AJ. So this is the potential gradient produced by this source E for the test cell. Again, suppose there is some resistance also connected there in this circuit. Then whatever potential difference we get due to this divided by the length Aj will be the potential gradient. In balanced state, when there is no current in the galvanometer, these two will be equal. And remember, this E will also be potential difference across Aj due to test cell, you can say, due to test cell. If this becomes equal, then it will be in balanced state. And we can use this one for finding unknown quantity. Now, let's discuss applications or uses of potentiometer. Suppose we want to compare the EMF of two test cells. So here, this is the experimental circuit where we are using it to compare the EMF of two cells. This AB is your potentiometer wire or potentiometer. E is the driving cell, RH is rheostat, K is the key connected in the primary circuit. This is called as the primary circuit. Then you have E1 and E2 as the cells whose EMF we want to compare. K1, K2 are the keys connected with them. G is the galvanometer and J is the jockey. So first of all, we make the connection and then we proceed for taking observation. But again, whenever you are doing experiment on potentiometer, once you have finished your connections, check that when you put the jockey at the two extreme ends, that is at A and then at B, of course by closing the key K and then closing any of the key there, whether you get deflection in opposite direction or not. If you get deflection in opposite direction, that means your circuit is correct. But of course, here do remember you have to check this for two separately. Like if I close K and then K1, K2 is left open, see whether you get opposite deflection or not. That means if you get opposite deflection, that means your setup is ready for taking observation for E1. Similarly for E2, once you close K2, this one is left open. Again, if you get opposite deflection, that means it is correct for taking observations for the cell E2. But it is possible that you may not get deflection in opposite direction. There are many reasons that deflection is same-sided. First, you check that positive terminal of all cells, they must be connected at same point. If the positive terminal of all cells, whether test or driving, is not connected to the same point, you will not get deflection in opposite direction. Second thing, EMF of this cell, that is the driving cell, must be greater than the EMF of these test cells. So if it is not there, then also you will get deflection on same side. Third thing, it is possible that the connection of the conducting wire which you are doing at the different terminals, whether it is here or with the cell, with the key, it is possible that the wire, the conducting part of the wire is not in contact with the terminals there. It may be the insulation on the wire is coming in contact and the conducting part is not touching that. So basically that becomes an open circuit there. So that also you check, because many times when we tighten the wire there, at that time it is possible that that insulation, or if the cotton covering is there on the wire, that cotton part may be in contact with the terminal there. It is not the metallic part in contact. So circuit will not be complete. So take for that part also. One more possibility is there, that due to the rheostat used here in the circuit, even if suppose this cell which we have used here in the driving circuit may have the EMF more than this, but you will get deflection on same side. For example, suppose this one has EMF of 1.1, this has EMF 1.5, and this cell which you are using, it has EMF of 2 volt. So apparently this is definitely more than the EMF of the test cells. But if you have used a rheostat, remember the potential difference produced by this source will be there on the potentiometer wire as well as on rheostat. If the resistance of this one is high, or say just for example, it becomes equal to the resistance of the potentiometer wire, then this potential drop produced by this source will get equally divided. If it is 2 volt, it will be 1 volt here and 1 volt across rheostat. So across this potentiometer, it is just 1 volt. So obviously, this will be less than the EMF of these two cells, which is 1.1, 1.5. So apparently it will appear that it is 2 volt, which is more than this, but actual potential difference across points A and B will be less than that. So check for that. Then what you can do, you can change the position of the slider of the rheostat and get that it is giving you deflection in opposite direction. If you are doing experiment, you will have to check that. Many times this has also come as theory type questions in the exam. That in potentiometer experiment, we are getting a deflection on same side. What can be the possible reason for that? So there you will have to write like this. If you want to compare the EMF, so we have done the connection as shown in the figure. We first make the circuit operative by closing the key K. So we'll close this key K so that it will send current and produce a potential difference there. So we make the circuit operative by closing the key K. Then in first part of the experiment, we close key K1, K2 is left open, and we move the jockey along the length of the wire. And we see where we get zero deflection. Suppose at the length AJ equals to L1, we get zero deflection. So we call this L1 as the balancing length. If lambda is the resistance per unit length of this potentiometer wire and I is the current which is flowing through it, in that case, I is the current flowing in circuit. So what will happen? E1 will be equals to lambda L1 into I. Lambda into L1 will give you resistance of this part. So this is the potential difference. Lambda L1 into I. So this is your E1. So this is suppose your first equation. In second part, now we close K2 and this time K1 is left open. Again we move the jockey along the length of the wire. Suppose L2 is the balancing length in this case. So this time E2 will be equals to lambda L2 into I. This is suppose our second equation. Now if you compare from equation 1 and 2, so from equation 1 and 2, we have E1 by E2 equals to I lambda L2 I, and that gives you E1 by E2 equals to L1 by L2. So the ratio of EMF of the two cells will be simply equal to ratio of their balancing length. So this is how we can compare the EMF of two cells. Another question based on this experiment only, we want to find EMF of the cell. So what we'll have to do there, out of these two, suppose one is the source test cell which is given. Other one should be a standard cell. So we'll take another cell as a standard cell and we'll do the experiment exactly as we have discussed here. So this time it will be your E1 by E2 equals to L1 by L2. So E1 will be equals to L1 by L2 into E2, and this E2 will be EMF of a standard cell. So using this one, we can find out the EMF of a given cell. This is another application of potentiometer, where we use it to measure the internal resistance of a cell. So suppose we want to measure the internal resistance of a cell. For that, this is the circuit diagram. Again, this is the potentiometer AB. E is the driving cell, RH is rheostat, K is the key of the primary circuit here. The small e is the EMF of the test cell and its internal resistance is a small r. This we have to measure, small r. Capital R is the resistance from the resistance box which we connect in parallel with this cell, and K dash is another key attached with this. G is galvanometer and J is the jockey. So again, after doing the connection, once we are ready for taking observation, so we first close the key K and make the circuit operative. So circuit is made operative by closing the key K. Once you have closed the key, after that we keep this K dash open in first part. So in first part, K is closed and K dash is left open. Okay, this is left open, and we move the jockey. Suppose L1 is the balancing length. So this time E will be lambda L1 into I. This is suppose our first equation. Okay. Now in the second part, we close the key K dash. K is already closed. Now we are closing K dash also, and there is some resistance introduced here. So R is the resistance introduced. Again we move the jockey along the length of the wire, and suppose L2 is the balancing length in this case. If this resistance is connected there in parallel with the cell, then this will measure now potential difference. So suppose V is the potential difference, so V will be lambda L2 into I. So now from equation 1 and 2, get E by V equals to L1 by L2. Suppose I call this as equation number 3. Now if you take the cell of EMF E, internal resistance R, and connect it to its resistance capital R and I being the current in the circuit, in that case, by circuit equation, what will get? E by R plus R. So potential difference will be I into R, or V will be your E by R plus R into R. So E by V, if you take from this relation, it will be your R plus small r by capital R, and finally it is 1 plus small r by capital R. Suppose I call this as equation number 4. So now you have equation 3 for E by V, 4 also for E by V. So from equation 3 and 4, 1 plus R by R will be L1 by L2, or R by R is L1 by L2 minus 1. This will give you R equals to L1 minus L2 by L2 into capital R. So this is the expression for internal resistance. So experimentally we can find the value of internal resistance of the cell if we know what is the balancing length L1 when cell is open, and L2 when it is closed there. That means when it is measuring the potential difference there. So L1 and L2 are the balancing length. R is the resistance which we have connected here at the shunt resistance there, you can say. So in this case, using this formula, you can find internal resistance. One more question is asked. What is the advantage of measurement of potential difference of a cell with the help of potentiometer? Potentiometer gives you more accurate result than your voltmeter. Voltmeter also we use for measuring potential difference there. Potentiometer also we are using. But voltmeter, if you are taking, voltmeter will draw some current from the circuit. So in that case, the reading shown by the voltmeter will always be different from the actual one. Whereas in potentiometer when we take, here it is not drawing any current from the circuit when it is in balanced state, and all reading we take for potentiometer in its balanced state. So obviously the reading shown by potentiometer will be very accurate. Only thing is that it needs calculation. Voltmeter gives you instant results there. You will just see what is the reading shown by the pointer of the voltmeter. You will get the value there. Okay. But voltmeter does not give you a correct value there. Whenever you want to measure, it will just give you an idea what is the potential difference there. But if you want to measure it, in that case, definitely you will have to do the calculation for its correction, or you can use some different method. And advantage of the potentiometer is there that as it is not drawing any current in its balanced state, obviously the reading shown by it will be very accurate. So this is all in the discussion of the meter bridge as well as in potentiometer.